Hello and welcome to Reroll. My name is Angus Morrison and I have had a sleepless night after playing Outlast. Outlast is a new horror game by Red Barrels, an indie studio with some serious pedigree, boasting developers from series like Prince of Persia, Assassin's Creed and Uncharted. Outlast is their debut game, released on the 4th of September with the aim of providing an emotional and unforgettable experience. Yeah, they got that right. Like all good horror, Outlast opens with someone doing something spectacularly stupid. After receiving a tip about abuses at Mount Massive Asylum, journalist Miles Upshur decides to investigate. Alone, at night, armed with nothing but a camcorder. Mobile signals become jammed a few miles out and naturally the gates swing shut behind you, leaving you truly alone. And that's something Outlast likes to remind you about. There's a special place in hell reserved for Outlast's audio developers. To put it bluntly, I did not have the balls to don headphones at any point during my playthrough. Your breathing echoes in your ears, always harsh and ragged but becoming increasingly panicked as danger approaches. Each footstep is monstrously loud, and even when creeping you get the impression you're just stomping through the shadows. You even lack the ability to close doors silently, each slamming shut with a sickening crack. This forced awareness of your own presence, sounds ringing in your head, is a terrifying way of drawing you into the game and putting yourself in the shoes of an otherwise faceless avatar. It's an illusion furthered by the inclusion of physical presence. Where many first-person games will forego proper character models, Outlast provides you with legs and arms which respond naturally to the world around them. Your hands will rest against door frames as you lean cautiously outwards. Legs will stretch ahead as you creep downstairs, your arms taking the weight as you do. The sensation is one of profound isolation, that you are the lone and clumsy human that has stumbled into a nightmare. As far as nightmares go, it's very traditional horror. You've got your jump scares, your chase scares, the limited battery life on your night vision, thunderstorms, curtains blowing in the wind, an asylum. It doesn't suggest originality, and yet Red Barrels managed to do something that feels fresh. They subvert traditional horror using traditional horror. The world is so densely packed and so rich with potential threats that you'll be constantly trying to second guess the developers, desperately trying to predict the source of the next scare and so distracted that you rarely see it coming. It's best experienced yourself, or with friends if you're not feeling so brave, so I won't use too many examples here, but there's one very early room which boasts a large television on the far side. Ah, you think to yourself, I know horror, that TV is gonna go off with a burst of static, no big deal. I'm ready. And then you begin to cross the room, and you notice the beam of moonlight, and you think, what happens when I cross that? Will a shadow appear? Should I be watching the window? Should I be watching the door? What if— oh my god, the TV just went off! For the most part, Outlast avoids becoming predictable, and for horror that is the highest honor. Inevitably, comparisons will be made with Amnesia. Already I've heard people describing Outlast as scarier than Amnesia or the scariest game since Amnesia, but I'm not sure that link does either game justice. They are very different in terms of pace. Both start with sneaking and jump scares, both require you to very carefully manage light resources, but where Amnesia continues in that vein, Outlast begins to build a head of steam. Jump scares hit you hard and early, quickly moving to intense stealth to avoid an unknown threat. Stealth transitions to flight from a known and very angry threat, building in intensity until a heart-stopping outside level in the midst of a thunderstorm. To accomplish this, Red Barrels have borrowed from countless games and genres. Outlast is influenced by the light management of Amnesia, the camera work of Fatal Frame, platforming akin to Mirror's Edge, rounded off by some very solid stealth mechanics. It all comes together to yield a variety that is very rare for games of this type, boasting mechanics suited to each aspect of a changing story. However, they do slip up. Right up to that outside level, Outlast is constantly gaining pace, apparently building towards a dramatic finale. But it doesn't arrive. You're immediately forced back inside to the same cautious stealth you'd become accustomed to several hours earlier, and the final levels begin to drag. It's not helped by the fact that many of the obstacles encountered in the course of the game are contrived fetch quests. The generator is broken, turn on 2 gas pumps to fix it. The pipe is blocked, turn 2 valves to release the water. There's a key in the laundry chute, find 3 fuses to open it. They're strangely artificial tasks which feel out of place in an otherwise unpredictable world, and Outlast would benefit by having some of the fat stripped from its bones. It's at its strongest when it's simplest, driving you relentlessly forward by fear and instinct. For the most part, the AI behaves very convincingly and is equipped with a broad range of behaviours. Enemies often patrol specific points but without a fixed route, forcing emergency retreats as inmates swivel and come hunting for you. They'll actively seek out sources of noise and randomly search hiding places when nearby, and the tension as the locker next to yours is yanked open is heart-stopping. It's not without bugs, however. There's one level in particular where the limits of enemy pathing are very apparent. Vaulting a specific windowsill immediately puts you in an AI blind spot, your pursuers losing interest and wandering off even as you stand in the open catching your breath. It's an isolated incident, but it is a game breaker. Overall, however, I can't be too critical because I was terrified, practically beside myself for the duration and going as far to invite a friend round for moral support. Outlast is the strongest addition to the genre we've seen in quite some time, blending the best elements from horror past and present into a surprisingly fresh and unpredictable game. It's a damn shame that the final levels fall back on repetition and meaningless busywork, but there's no denying it's a strong first outing for Red Barrels. Bring a cushion, you're going to need it.